Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Franklin Planning Board, December 15th, 2025 meeting. This meeting is...
Recording in progress.
Here we go. This meeting is audio and video recorded, as well as on Zoom. Zoom call-in number is 312-626-6799, with a meeting number of 89607752-906. First item of business is 47 Partridge Street, Donovan Estates. I believe they're looking to be continued, Amy. What do you think for duration of time?
January 12th will be our next meeting.
January 12th, they'll be prepared?
Yes.
Okay. Make a motion to continue Donovan Estates till January 12th. Wait a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, second item of business, this would be for 860 to 862 West Central Street. This is a Glenn Farmer, special permit site plan application, and this is for an illuminated sign. If I could go to Amy first, Department of Planning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this was a refile. They had come in before due to the changes in the board from the elections. They've had to refile. Some of the issues that were addressed from the last meeting, they were concerned about the lighting, also the time frame of when the sign will be on, the sign design, and the site plans. And they've provided letters for this lighting study, the special permit. Also, they added a more description to how the sign will work, and they have the sign design and the site plan as well.
Okay, good, thank you. Before I go to the board, I'll just go to the applicant. If you could just introduce yourselves for the record, please.
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Valerie Mora. I'm an attorney with Nutter, McLennan and Fish at 155 Seaport Boulevard in Boston. With me today is Patrick Downing, the owner of Glen Farmer Distillery. We're here. Do you want me to continue with the presentation or just introductions?
If you could, yeah, because I think there was just a couple issues we had to just address and take it from there.
Yes, and I will, for the new members of the board, I'll recap a little bit of what we talked about to introduce the sign as well. So in 2024, the zoning bylaw was amended to allow the board to permit LED signs in 3 zoning districts by special permit upon making findings that no traffic safety hazard will be created either by the location of the structure or its operation, and that no light spillage onto the public roadway or any abutting property will occur. And the bylaw specifically provides that the more general special permit criteria don't apply here. I have our site plan up here so that you can see the location of the proposed sign. If you're familiar with the property, the sign is basically going to sit pretty much where it does today. So it's replacing the existing sign, but it's designed to comply with the setback requirements in the zoning bylaw. And I do want to note that there is sort of an unusual condition for this property in that the building itself is separated from the roadway by a brook. And that does cause it to be set back, perhaps more significantly than many other structures in the area. So the sign will sit closer to the roadway in front of the brook so that it can be visible to cars traveling on the public way. With our application, we had submitted a report from our engineer, John Cusick of Bowler Engineering. He's not able to be with us tonight, but you do have a letter from him in the file that talks about the fact that he doesn't believe there's going to be any traffic harms as a result of the sign and that it complies with that criteria of the bylaw. He described this particular area of West Central Street as well lit and in an area where there's full visibility and good sight lines, and so he did not believe that the sign would create any traffic hazard and thus complied with that criteria. And we had also submitted a light study from the sign manufacturer, that's Watchfire. Watchfire is one of the most common manufacturers of this type of sign in this area. They're found throughout the Commonwealth and throughout this area. So they have a very good sort of record of data and performance in this area, and they do not have any reason to believe that there will be any light spillage onto either abutting properties or the public roadway as a result of the operation of the sign. The design of the sign is in your packet, so you can see what it looks like. It's designed to fit in with the historic character of the mill building, and it's comprised of whiskey barrels to sort of highlight the distillery business, with a variable messaging board located in the middle of the sign. There is, I know it's hard to see from this distance, but there is a copy of that in your packets. So in our most recent submittal to you, we proposed several conditions that were designed to address questions that the board raised at the prior hearing. One of the questions that came up was about how frequently messaging would change. We've agreed to a condition here that each static display will last at least 60 seconds. If you read the rest of the letter, you'll know that we undertook a search of other town bylaws, and including MassDOT's regulations for electronic billboards. They limit messaging changes to every 10 seconds, so we do feel that 60 seconds here is very conservative and is not going to create any kind of traffic hazard. And we've also agreed to a condition to prohibit any flashing, intermittent, or moving lights, or displaying animated or moving video or scrolling advertising. So the sign will really just be displaying static text for 60 seconds before it changes. We've borrowed from because your bylaw doesn't contain any numeric criteria, we've borrowed from MassDOT's regulations for electronic billboards here to propose a numeric criteria, because that was something that the board had expressed an interest in at our last hearing. So we proposed that the sign not exceed 0.3 foot candles above ambient light as measured at 100 feet from the sign. That's what's found in MassDOT's regulations. So we feel that that creates a good standard for the board to follow. But we have also proposed to take measurements once the sign is operating to confirm that it's compliant with that criteria. And also, we've committed that if the town receives complaints or if issues are created by the brightness of the sign, that we will work with the town to address any concerns that come up. We've also committed to hour limits on when the sign will be on, so that it does turn off when the distillery and restaurant are not open overnight. Those hour limits are proposed in the letter that I submitted to the board. So I think one other request that had come up that I do think is worth touching on was, I believe Beta Group had inquired whether a lighting or photometric plan could be submitted for this type of sign. And we did talk to the manufacturer extensively about this. There's not really a way to do that for a sign. Typically you see a photometric plan for a standard light fixture like a roadway light that's operating at the same level of brightness all the time. With an LED sign, how bright the sign appears is going to change depending on what imagery is shown on it. So for example, if you switch your phone to be all black with white text, it's going to look a lot darker and not project as much light as it does if it's all white with black text on it. Because of that variability, there's no sort of fixed standard we could apply to create a photometric plan. So rather than attempting to do that, instead we've proposed limits that we'll agree to that are consistent with other bylaws and regulations that we found. So with that, I hope we've addressed the questions that came up previously, but I'm happy to answer any other questions that you have.
Okay, thank you. We'll start with Chris.
Oh,
Any
great.
comments, questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the conditions you guys have laid out there. To me, those seem pretty reasonable in regards to what you're looking for here. I did have a question on the site plan. It looks like there's a marker that says proposed sign is to the left of the bridge if you're looking at the building. Is that right? Because the
It is.
existing sign is to the right, correct?
Yes, you are correct.
Sorry.
Okay. Because I remember, I don't think it was there before, and our concern was it was tight over there, but having it on this other side, there's a
Yes.
lot more room.
Yes.
Okay, all right, so that's that. The auto adjustment to ambient light, I understand that, I think that's a great way to do it. But the adjustment won't exceed that high end that's set, correct?
Correct.
Under any circumstance, okay. And then 60 seconds, I mean, if you ever watched a sports game, 60 seconds can be a long time. I'm just wondering how long it takes you to turn left out of BJ's and go up. Like 60 seconds, you might see one image. Whereas if it's
That's correct.
45 or 30 seconds, you might be able to get two.
Yeah, I understand like, I don't want to cut you off,
Yeah.
but I understand not going to like 15 seconds or 10
Yeah,
seconds,
yeah.
so things are like,
Yeah, but
hammering
30,
you, but 60 seconds is quite a long time.
yeah.
If the board is comfortable with a shorter time frame, we are happy to.
I'm certainly,
Arrange-
we would
arrange
appreciate-
that, too.
Or, the easiest way to do it, in my opinion, is like a maximum, saying like,
Yeah.
a maximum of X number of seconds, but yeah, 60 seems excessive.
yeah.
Like, well, I'd almost be bored. No matter what you put up there.
So you'd stop and read the sign and
Yeah,
wait and go?
well, you don't even start, you don't want to, the point of it is to move enough to capture people, right?
Right. Yeah, I would say no quicker than 30, and if you, as long as you want to go, but no quicker than 30 to me seems.
Do you want to see how long 30 seconds is? I'm not even joking. Like, do you want to put a timer on the city?
I can do that. I can. Someone else can go. I'll do that and just see what it feels like. All right. Those are all my questions, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
Don't forget you travel too, so, you know,
Yeah,
so that's all. Okay.
that's a good point too.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go to you, Jim. Any comments, questions?
Yeah, so I appreciate all of the effort you guys went through to like establish some sort of performance standard, because as you recognize, the bylaw was lacking one. And I think everything about the sign is cool and great. And I want to make sure that not only you're being set up for success, but all the future signs are being set up for success. Because some of the things that you proposed, I think, actually hinder you to a degree. Like the 0.3 candle lights, and I'm gonna nerd out on so much lighting stuff right now, so please forgive me. But one candle foot is equal to approximately 10.76 nits. So 0.3 candle feet is about 3 nits. So if it's just dead dark out on a road, the minimum lumens recommended for a road is 1.2 candle feet, right? So we're gonna do that here. So you're talking 12 nits. So if the ambient lighting by your sign just happened to be the road, the maximum it could be is 12 nits, which is about 90% less than what I would propose at nighttime. So I think that that performance standard needs to be visited, because depending on how you measure lighting or where you measure lighting, it actually is going to be like very, very limiting. So I looked at other lighting standards as to what was done, because I wanted to make sure that you're actually getting like your full grab of brightness, right? And these standards have said here, blah, 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 blah. 2009 study of static lighting boards found that out of 98% that were measured, they were less than 150 nits during the daytime, and 83 were less than 100. A smaller study in New York found 124 was the average for nighttime. And then the IESNA lighting handbook, I will go over the acronym because I don't remember it. The Illuminating Engineering Society of North America, they're probably a very interesting bunch. They recommend,
Right,
say again?
they're rather bright.
Oh my God. That was the worst dad joke I've heard, and I tell bad ones. They recommend 250 nits during the day, 125 at night. The Outdoor Advertising Association of America recommends 300 during the day. And then, so you can see on the low end, if you go with that 0.3 off of ambient, you're really shooting yourself in the foot. Because you're down at like 10 nits or 12 nits when you could be up at 125, right? And nighttime luminance is fairly important, right? So what I'm proposing, instead of the 0.3, which is very subjective, is eliminate the subjectivity and just say, no, here's your maximum and operate at that. So you don't have to worry about, hey, it's darker tonight or brighter today, and that brings this down or increases that. And the standards that were shown here were 250 for the day and 125 for night, and the outdoor advertising recommends like 300, so I'd even, you know, with daytime probably being a little bit harder to see than night, right, because it'll be, you know, it's bright and stuff out. I think the 300 I'm probably a little bit comfortable with, actually going a little higher there, because I want to make sure, again, that you're getting what you need out of your sign. And just so I can offer a bit of comparison, the sun is considered about 6,000 nits, okay? If you go to your sign, the maximum daytime, is 7,500. So that's where I'm like, we kind of can't go 0.3 off of ambient. That's like you're allowing your sun to be brighter than their sign to be brighter than the sun. So I think that, in my opinion, that standard of 300 nits during the day and 125 at night seems to get you what you need for advertising, while also not potentially really, really limiting yourself. So that's just kind of my pontification on lighting standards that none of us have heard of until this evening.
I was gonna say, the only city we found where their zoning bylaw does actually specify a standard in nits was the city of Worcester, and theirs is 350 at night and 6,000 during the day.
I have to talk to someone about that.
Okay, well.
So if I can just interject, I want to make sure we're not confusing nits with foot candles.
Yeah, we're not.
And nits being a measurement of luminescence versus foot candles being a measure of illuminescence. And so what we're talking about is 0.3 foot candles as a measure of illuminescence, which is the amount of light that is received on a surface. And so to your point about measurement, it is based on a standard at a distance. So nits is a measurement at the actual light source.
Correct.
And so the reason for the 0.3 foot candles based on ambient lighting is that I would suggest 150 nits. And the Outdoor Advertising Association of America.
For evening?
No, sorry, let me just
Yeah.
kind of come back to, the Outdoor Advertising Association of America has standardized on 0.3 foot candles. The same thing that Mass DOT has in their guidelines. So I think we're confusing nits as a measurement at the light source versus what is actually received and measured either in spillage or in abutting properties for the roadway. And I would suggest that nit measurement would not be satisfactory during the day. I think that would actually be what would limit us. Because during the day, to your point, if sunlight is at 6,000, I have no idea if it is or it isn't.
Yeah.
150 nits or 300 nits during the day isn't going to be sufficient. What the sign manufacturer is committing to is that their sign, which they're one of the largest manufacturers in the United States, and I'm sure every geographic area that these studies have been done, they adjust the lighting. The maximum output of the sign is 7,500 nits. Worcester, to Valerie's point, their guideline is 6,000 nits during the daytime. And I believe that is because you need an increased amount of power that is emitting light during the daytime in order to be able to get to that 0.3 foot candles based on ambient light. Otherwise, you're not going to actually see the sign.
So the foot candles was the reason we proposed the standard in foot candles, as it aligns with what's in your bylaw. Is the bylaw, basically it's written so that it kind of doesn't care how bright the sign is as long as it's not impacting an abutting property or the roadway, right? Because that's what it's looking at, is how does that light affect those adjacent surfaces. So we could have a sign that's brighter than the sun, and there might be reasons you have that, right? Like, probably not in this situation, but if you had spotlights shining on it from abutting properties or something, it would need to be far brighter to be seen. In this context where the sign is set to adjust based on the brightness of the surrounding area and the ambient light that it's receiving, we think proposing the standard in foot candles is appropriate because it really, it tracks what's in your bylaw, it's the most protective of abutting properties and of the roadway. Because it ensures that, you know, perhaps even if you decide, if it's so dark out that, you know, you can only have 2 nits.
Similarly,
So my understanding all of this, I preferred the nit measurement because it is measured at the point source, right? And that removes, as I was getting at earlier, subjectivity. So 0.3 candle feet, if, say you had a bad inspector right there, he wants to be a jerk, he's gonna go and measure it by the woods. And 0.3 candle feet by the woods is a lot darker than 0.3 candle feet by the road. So my preference, understanding the difference between the two, was to select nits as a performance measure because it removes that layer of subjectivity. So you're just saying, here at the point source, this much. So agreeing there is.
so then
there
you
is-
get into, I'll give you another, sorry, I don't mean to
Yeah, yeah.
interrupt, but if the sign is, let's say, blue letters on a white background, that's going to be a very different image with a very different nit reading than if it's white letters on a black background.
Correct, yeah.
And so ultimately, the visibility during the day isn't going to be the same. And so what I'm suggesting is that the standard that has been created, not only by Mass DOT, but also by the Outdoor Advertising Association, and I actually believe the Engineering Society, I did look at this as well. I believe they also have agreed with the 0.3 foot candles measured at specified distances based on the size of the sign. And so in our proposal, we proposed the shortest distance, which is 100 feet. And so there wouldn't be that variability of going into the woods. It would be at 100 feet.
Which could be in the woods. So,
Presu-
and also, like, the Outdoor Advertising Association does offer nit measurements. Just as they offer the 0.3 standard, they also say about 300 to 350 suggested for the day based on like trespass readings. And as I stated before, IESNA is 250 nits and 125. So I'm just, we have to apply this evenly and fairly to like everyone else that comes to town.
Agreed.
With the amount of subjectivity in here, I think it's difficult. Maybe we could explore some standards as to where this is gonna be measured. So we're saying it's gonna be measured at this point, you know.
Well, it's within 100 feet, so.
But again, 100 feet is a radius, right? So that's what I was trying to get at, is we need to say like, no, this is the point this is gonna be measured at, out of fairness to everyone, because like I just stated, if you get someone who wants to be a jerk, they're gonna find something that's 100 feet in dark.
So, my recommendation, we already have a bylaw that's there. They're willing to come back to the table to reassess if need be, this being like one of the first ones. I think what we do is follow the bylaw, and then we can readdress it once it's up and functioning, and then we can take it from there. I think, because this is kind of like groundbreaking for
Yeah, well,
the
that's
town,
kind
so
of
I
what I'm
think
getting
as
at
a,
here.
yeah,
is
as a
it's-
baseline, so I think we use this one as a baseline, we evaluate it when it's up and functioning, and then we can take it from there, and, go ahead, Amy?
Are you all set?
Yeah.
No, I think what, just kind of to kind of repeat, they're looking at the 0.3 foot candles, and this is what we look at raw lighting. When we do site plans, when we do any special
Yeah.
permits, people are building parking lots, where's that lighting going to go? So I think that's the bigger focus on this sign than so much, I guess it's like thinking of a billboard that lights up. What's their nit? They can't let that go onto Route 1 or 495 or any of that lighting. That's probably the part of the nit that Jay's talking about. I think the foot candles are the most important, that it doesn't filter out onto abutting properties and onto West Central Street.
No, not disagreeing that we could go with that standard.
Yeah,
It's just if we're gonna go with the standard of the 0.3 foot candles, then we need to be much more specific about it, because I
Correct.
don't feel as if it's specific.
correct.
So we need to discuss points of measurement and
Mhm.
things like that.
Yep.
Okay,
That's it.
good.
Not to nerd out anymore on lights.
I won't talk about nits.
Please don't, I don't even wanna talk about nits.
I just have one question, but I appreciate everything. I like you proposing your own conditions, which I'm agreeable to. But on this diagram here, where it shows the view angle, is that actually the angle in which the sign could be viewed from? On both sides, going both ways on,
You're talking about this diagram?
yes, ma'am.
Yes, so the sign will have variable messaging on both sides.
Okay.
So you can obviously look at it from many angles, but this diagram is designed to show basically if you were standing at all these different locations, what would you see? How bright
Okay.
would it appear?
Now, could you, I guess, lack of knowledge is, can you narrow that view angle so it's not in areas that really don't need to be seen from, or is it?
There's not really a way to do that without creating like a shield around it, which would
Okay,
kind
that would be
of
my next question.
defeat the purpose here.
Okay.
And I mean, I think if you look at what the measurements actually are at
Okay.
what's on it, they're very, very low. I
All right.
mean, 0.01 at 200 feet, 0.03, 0.05, 0.05 being your highest, and that's at 0 degrees. So if you're standing basically directly in front of the sign looking at it, of course, it's going to appear brighter. So I think the data we've submitted is pretty clear that even though the array we're giving is much broader, and realistically with the vegetation there for a significant portion of this view angle, you're not going to be able to see
No,
anything.
just for my information, I just wanted to know. But other than that, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Okay, good, thank you. Eric? Comments, question?
Yeah, a couple questions. How tall is this sign?
I think it was 12 feet. 11 something.
I couldn't see it on the sketch.
You said each one is
It's really
3 feet?
small.
Yeah, so it's about 12 feet.
Yeah, 12 feet.
Okay, great. Who are the butters around you?
We have a condemned building to the east of us, or northeast, I guess. And then there is a self-storage building to the west.
Consistent with a commercial use,
Yes.
Yes.
Across
which
the
is the
street
nature of your building and your operations there.
Yes.
And across the street is the 99 restaurant, which also obviously has illuminated signs.
One thing I just want to clarify too is about Watchfire. You were suggesting that they are a leading manufacturer of these signs. Is this who you are intending to purchase a sign from?
Yes.
Okay. Has it gone to design review committee yet, or
No,
what's
they will,
that process?
they will be required, I think they're probably waiting on this approval, right, before they go there.
Okay.
But, yes,
They still have
so
to-
they will be required to go there, they'll be required to get a sign permit through building department, and building department won't give them the permit until they get through design review.
Okay.
So they
I'm-
will have to go through design review.
I'm used to it going to design review first before it comes to the planning board for approval, but in this instance, it's going the other way around.
So, yeah, sometimes
Fine.
it's before, or after, or during, kind of all depends.
Okay. The dimensions on the sign, that was one other thing that I was seeing inconsistency on, where the sign by CAM was suggesting it was 6 by 8, but then on the site plan, it's suggesting it's 10 by 12, and I just wanted to have clarification for the record on the dimensions of the sign.
So I think the illuminated portion, if you take the Glen Farmer Distillery, which is the stagnant top portion, and you include the electronic messaging board, the total width of that is the 8 feet, and so it's probably 6 feet in height. But if you include the barrels themselves on each end,
Extends
that's
out.
where the width
Okay, great.
becomes different.
There's been some references about a dark color background and light coloring, but then other references to the photometric study can't be done because it might have a light background. I just wanted to have clarification for the record about what what sort of messaging will you have up? Will it always be black with white lettering?
No.
Okay.
It will vary. The sign has full color capability, so I think, at the last hearing, we did talk a little bit about the types of messaging. While it's primarily text, there could be imagery with it. So it will vary as to how much of the sign is illuminated and the coloration of what's proposed, but it's primarily going to be things like event announcements, new product announcements, when there are weddings and things, congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, the types of messaging you often see at these types of facilities. So we're not committing to it being all black with white text, even though that is what's shown in the illustration here, but it is a full color capable
But the sign will adjust its brightness based on what the imagery is.
Right.
And as indicated in our draft conditions, we're not proposing animations or videos or anything like that. We're committing that it will just be static imagery.
Static. Amy, does that comply with the regulations?
Yes.
Okay. I thought there was something in there that required it to be a black background with white lettering. So that's why I just wanted to confirm.
Well, this is an exception due to the bylaw change, because it pertains to the LED lighting.
Okay, so
what you're
other-
reading is the static, like on a building, that doesn't change.
Right,
So this is, with the LED, is allowing it to change.
okay. As far as the questioning around, the subjectivity to it, I think the amendment's pretty clear that it's light spillage and it's to a public road or public access way as well as abutting property. And I think that's how you could apply this then. Jay, to your point about like what it could be the woods or something. I think how you could apply this is that it has to be 100 feet from the sign away to the nearest abutting property or
Center of the road, something like that.
or the road, yeah. And I think that's how you could start to address that.
Yeah, I'd wanna do it so it's not shooting people in the foot,
Yeah,
so I'd have to, kinda think about it
Yeah.
for a few minutes, but yeah, it's something like that, essentially say all right, what's gonna get the most other spillage,
Whether
what's
it's
the point?
perpendicular to the sign or parallel, however you.
Well, I mean, the sign
Phrase
angle
it,
is
you know
cool.
what I mean?
I'm now gonna nerd out in geometry. The sign angle is great, actually. When you were saying that, I looked at that, I was like, actually, it's cool, because it's not directly
Sure.
on the road, it's slightly off the road, so it's not hard to read, but not blinding you in the face. So that's all good and nice. It's that, yeah, you could walk into the woods 100 and be in the 100 feet, or, or you could be off on the sidewalk, which might be less bright. So to say, all right, what in that little 100-foot radius there is reasonable? Center of the road, right, because the center of the road is probably brighter than the gutter line, and use that point. So, I mean, that's just me,
yeah.
kind of throwing something out there. It almost might be better to stand over there and be I would actually kind of this point is, you could say the point of highest perceived luminance due to other sources, you could phrase it like that, which is still introducing some level of subjectivity, but.
I think how you could interpret this in the future is closest receptor that's having the biggest potential impact, and so the
Yeah, something
likelihood
like
that
that.
someone's in the woods there, pretty low. Likelihood that someone's on the road there, pretty high.
Yeah,
And so then you could you could figure out 100 feet from the nearest area where you think.
Yeah, looking at what's
Most-
reasonable and what is measured, could be measured, two totally different things, right? So.
Basically, who would be most likely affected the most, basically.
Exactly, that's exactly where I'm going
Or,
with that.
or what, the other way around, what lighting source would have the greatest impact on the sign's luminance, because that's what we're looking at. We're actually saying what other things in the area environmentally would limit the visibility of this. So that's why we want to be 3-foot candles higher than everything else in the area. So
I interpreted in the regulations to be the light spillage from the sign having a potential negative effect on another property as opposed to
Right.
another light source somewhere else having a detriment to the sign.
Well, that's looking at it from applicant's point of view, right? That was kind of the discussion, is the standard I was looking at was potentially punitive. So it's, agreeing that we're not trying to be punitive here.
Right.
Trying to establish a place to say, all right, well, this should be the maximum lighting. Let's use it there. And maybe that
I think in this instance.
yeah,
it's the right-
because do you, measure it then up against an abutting property, like,
Yeah.
to your point, do you measure it up against the abutting property and say, like, this is actually the point?
Yeah, I think we can just decide it upon each instance about who we think might have
Like, almost
the
the
most
biggest-
impact,
yeah.
and in this instance, it's the road. And that's why
Yeah, I think the road is the biggest one, because 99 is already lit up.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, you got it.
Yeah. Okay.
I dig it.
Let me just see if I have any last questions. Sorry, thank you for letting me go through it. Amy, has the police chief opined on any of this about traffic safety?
No, they typically don't, not with signs or any of that. It's not typical. I've never seen any comments on that. They kind of really leave it up to the boards to make
Okay.
those decisions.
What's the foundation structure to this? I'm just thinking worst case scenario, this sign falls down. It's 12 feet off the road. It's a 12-foot sign. I don't know, I want to, just given that the police chief hasn't looked into this, I'm just
I don't
curious
know,
on the
trees
foundation.
fall
it's a buil-
down,
at
things
12
fall
feet,
down.
It's a structure by building code, so this will have to go to the building
Yes.
department.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it-
And they'll take care of
Yeah,
that.
it's a structure, so they have
Structural
foundation.
steel, the barrel's gonna wrap.
Yeah,
the
they'll look at
structural
wind loading
steel.
and all that stuff for
Yeah.
a sign,
There'll
yeah.
be footings and whatnot placed on it, but that
I
falls
assume
under the
so.
building department.
Just
yeah.
want to make sure that that's going to be addressed.
Oh,
Great.
no.
I promise
Unless
you,
the
we have a
barrels are
strong
full.
incentive to make sure it
Yeah,
doesn't
I'm
fall
sure you
over.
Or other good
The amount of
insurance.
time and money spent on this, yes.
Yeah, great.
Better last, right?
Anything over 6 feet tall is a structure by code.
Yeah, no, I think that addresses my question, so
good.
thank you.
Thank you. Will, any comments, questions?
Just glad to learn the difference between a knit and a foot candle.
I think we all are.
Yeah, I'm really
God.
disgustingly bored with myself.
I mean, I drive up and down this road probably twice a week. I mean, I go to BJ's pretty frequently to fill up on gas. And I can't imagine a sign this small being a roadway issue. And in terms of casting light onto residential buildings, there aren't any in the radius really. I think it's all commercial, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And, I mean, it's good to know that the barrels aren't just gonna be nailed together and that they'll have some kind
No, they're
of
not nailed together.
structure.
It'll be an actual.
Liquid nails will.
Yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
an
Steel.
actual
I use it
structure.
at my house, right? No further comment from me.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the only thing so I did measure the 30 seconds. It's kind of long.
It's pretty
We
long.
went
It's
way
kind of
past
long.
it.
Jay talked more than 30 seconds about nits.
Yeah.
But according to Google, it's a minute to drive from the BJ's intersection up past you. So I think 30 seconds as a flip is reasonable, as opposed to the 60.
Yeah, because you see like two
You see two,
messages.
yeah, you would see two messages. Yeah, and coming from the other way, you might see 5, because it's a longer rundown. But
And I like the way you worded it too, that it's no less than 30
Yeah.
seconds, so that it does provide the optionality that if someone's paying you more for their wedding, you want to have that, you can do that.
no, I don't think you need an upper limit.
I don't think
Just
so either.
no faster than this, because then you're getting
Yeah.
the craziness.
Cycling.
Yeah.
How tall is the covered bridge in front of the restaurant? It's not very tall, right? I don't think.
Let's see, it's 10 feet wide. I've never measured the height, but I was just changing light bulbs on Sunday for a wedding, and I would say I used an 8-foot ladder, and I was at the top changing the light bulb, so my guess is it's more than 12.
You're on the top step.
It
You
won't,
didn't hear
that
that.
won't obstruct.
I'm sorry?
You're on the top step.
You didn't hear
No,
that?
the step before, the step before the very top,
Alright.
this,
But
you
it
know,
won't obstruct the sign, that covered bridge, right? Because it's,
it's set back.
yeah, okay.
And it's sloped down too.
I think the only
Yes.
thing left is to say that agree upon a point at which we're gonna measure the point 3, but it sounds like the center of the road, as Eric's suggestion, is actually a pretty nice one, so.
Okay, so, we'll make a motion to close?
I just have,
What?
sorry, Mr. Chairman, if I can, one more comment.
Sure.
I just want to let you know that, I did hear from the town engineer, Mike Maglio, he had looked at the plans, and he didn't have any concern.
Okay,
He didn't have concern with the light spillage or anything on it, or the sign itself.
okay.
Just want to let you know, he had trouble getting on, so,
All
but
right,
he didn't have any issues.
okay, good, thank you. So, let's, make a motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion, do I hear a motion on a vote for 860 to 862? With conditions in the findings, which would be A through G. You have to read them off, Amy, or no? Okay.
No, just note the change from the 60 seconds to the 30 seconds.
Yep.
And the,
Okay, and then the distance of,
yeah, the measurement of .3 candle feet above
Oh, candle.
ambient at 100 feet from the sign to the center of the road. Work for you folks?
yep, along
Yeah.
with the conditions from the applicant that would, once the sign is up, it can get reevaluated at some point in time, let it get functioning, and then we can take it from there.
Sure.
And sign images to be no faster than 30 seconds.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
All good?
Yep. Motion
Second.
with- Okay. The motion with those conditions.
Yep. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
We're all
Is there-
set.
Thank you
very
so much.
for your
Thank you all
time.
very much.
Respectfully,
Really
is there a
appreciate it.
discussion? Because I just wanted to make sure that, like, we added in another one there about the 30 seconds. The A through G is in the application itself.
Yep.
There was other
Yeah.
conditions, points 1 through 7.
Greg referenced this.
Yep.
You referenced
Yep.
those?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Aye, thank you.
Okay.
A through G is not pertain to this one.
The A through G was referenced in the
Re-
motion.
It was referenced,
Yeah.
yes, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
And
the-
then you have
1
the
through 7.
conditions
And 1
through.
through
Is
And
what we
1
did.
through 7.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank
Got
you,
it.
aye.
We can't change our mind now, it's already done,
Yeah.
so.
Can always cheat.
Well, good luck with everything too. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
all your,
Thank you very
all your
much.
work
Thank you.
on this as well.
Very much.
Thank you.
See, you're pioneers and the signs, so
Exactly.
we're gonna ask you to come back for the next
You
one.
know, you're bored in there.
They could be the candlelight measures.
Yeah, that's right.
We're gonna go home and talk about nits.
Yep, okay. Next item of business would be general business. This would be endorsement for 380 King Street. Do I hear a second to endorse 380 King Street?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And next item would be meeting minutes, would be the approval of November 3rd, 2025, and November 17th of 2025.
Thank you.
Any additions? Thank you very much. Any additions or deletions? If not, make a motion to approve November 3rd and November 17th meeting minutes. Wait a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. There's a couple things I want to bring up under just general business. Special permits for site plan application and whatnot. I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I want to start putting the criteria on the drawings. That is a shaded area on the building, which is going to be the special permit for that particular project, as well as the square footage. And I'd like a second sheet delineating exactly what's there, because a couple of things have happened in the past that special permits are falling at the waste and they're being forgotten.
So like as comments on the plan.
I want an actual drawing, shaded on the drawing, where it's gonna be, and then I want a full sheet showing the specific space with the square footage on the drawings
For what?
for the special permit conditions, like, say, commercial space or business space.
So like on the drawing, actually
Yep.
called out like this segment here is
Yep.
subject to this?
Yep, yep, because there's been a couple instances in town that things have been missed. And I don't want it to go down a road that we don't want to start backtracking to. So it would be basically the conditions, the product, the colors, the space itself, the
Yep.
square footage of the space, just to delineate, so when the building commissioner goes out there, or Beta, or anybody from the town, any kind of inspections, they actually have it on the drawing, so it can't slip through the cracks. So everybody sees it, and it's right on the drawings.
Mhm.
I think it's just gonna simplify our process of when they come back for special permit, when we release these projects, we are confident enough that things are being met and built accordingly.
Do you want a standard for how that's done, or do you not care? Because we could ask Mike to come up with kind of like recommendations for how to note that on plans, or
Yeah.
you could just leave it to. you know,
It'd be through a
United
zoning-
to figure it out.
No, I think we as a group, with the help of Amy and Mike, that we
Yeah.
come up with a baseline
Mhm.
and say, okay, if you have, say, a 10,000 square foot building, and 1,000 square feet of it is delineated for commercial space, that is shaded on the specific drawing, and a separate page with it, all by its lonesome self, so there's no question of what's being built.
I think it's a practical idea, you know, to
I
the
know.
extent that it's being missed, and it shouldn't be missed.
Correct.
And it makes the job for the building inspector easier.
And as well as Beta, as well as the rest of the town staff. And it's easier for us, because now we're trying to backtrack to special permits
Yeah.
that haven't been met. So now we're gonna have a fight to get some of these projects back on track
Yeah.
where they should have been built, but they weren't. So I think this is only gonna help the whole process moving forward.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
So,
I agree.
one question, are you looking for a this is actually applied more to site plans, because what the issue is now is was a site plan that we're having an issue with. So you're looking for a change in the bylaw to site plans to require, so with the Union Crossing that
Yeah.
went through over on Union Street, we had that requirement, you
Yeah.
guys, you worked really hard on it with me, Greg, on, that whole 80%
Yeah.
and 20% the
That's the
storefront.
stuff I'm talking
That's
about.
what you're looking for in the C1?
Yep.
Okay,
Because, as you know, there's a couple projects out there that it slipped through the cracks. Now we're gonna
mhm,
going back to them and holding them to the stone to say, this is what you showed us, but you didn't build it. So now we have a couple of projects in town we have some problems with.
Just for clarity on the process then to enact this, it's a bylaw change?
if that's what Greg is
I-
asking.
I-
Or
I-
it's a decision that the board makes while they're reviewing plans. It can be something that can be required when site plan comes in, if it doesn't look specific enough to the board on the site plans, you can say, I want it completely outlined, I want it on a separate sheet, I want to see this. A bylaw change is gonna take a while, as they all do, not just this one, but they all do. There's a process we have to go through, or if anything comes in, it's something that the board can specify and request and have that done.
How
So
did
we
we-
have,
I was gonna say, how did we affect the change in the engineering plans for the retaining walls? Is that just a standard that we have, or is that a bylaw?
No, it was a
That
standard
was a
that,
s-
So
that the
let, we
board,
just do this as a standard then?
the board did,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
a policy decision, if you will.
yeah.
Mhm.
Because then you
just
know to get the
trying
bylaw amendment. and-
Yeah, I wanna establish a baseline, so if
Mhm.
somebody comes in,
Mhm.
they know what they have to do initially, right out of the gate, when they come in front of us.
Right.
It's really what I'm
Mhm.
trying to establish.
They know
So
they have
everybody's
retaining walls,
playing with
yeah.
the same deck
Yeah.
of cards, per se.
Now, I'll sit
Okay.
here and play devil's advocate, right? So if I was gonna play devil's advocate, the first thing as a developer I'm gonna say is, what is onerous to me? What are you doing that is gonna take more of my time or money? And do I have a case in the land court essentially to say, no, I shouldn't be doing this? And I think that's a weak case. To say that requiring an extra sheet that's
so it's-
pointing out,
so
I don't
the-
think there's any push that an applicant could have against it, basically. I think that it's a fairly sound requirement to say, please call out exactly what space we're talking about. I don't think that's onerous or overly burdensome at all, so.
Right.
I just think it keeps everybody on the same page.
Mhm.
Moving forward,
Agreed.
coming out of the gate, there's a lot of different directions people go, and it can get lost through the chain of command. If it's,
I
if it's
agree.
black and white, and it's in front of us, well, shame on us if we miss it going down through the commands.
I only have one question, I agree, I don't disagree, but can you do what you suggest, and then suggest or recommend a bylaw change down the road, so now that you have both, or do you need, can you have one and not the other, or could you?
I think,
Yeah,
go ahead, Amy.
but until a bylaw change,
Yeah.
so we can do it like today.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, you guys could do it today if something came in, and you could do it today. And we can add it to, we do keep a list of proposed wanted bylaw changes, because there's very many. And it is something that we could add to the list. And has, we can get to it, that we get to it.
If you get handed a rewritten bylaw, does that help?
What?
If you get handed a rewritten ordinance, does that help?
Yeah, we would just rewrite it. We would add it, probably add it in there.
No, that's what I'm saying, is does it help?
Jay's offering to write it.
Yeah, I do ordinances like all day, I'll just like do this one.
Well, you can, it all depend, yeah, it just has to relate to how ours are written,
No, I just rewrite ours,
yeah.
I'll just take and rewrite it, I understand it has to pass through the legislative and legal process that the town has, but no, I'm willing to do the, like, here you go, Amy, here's a draft, you guys take it from here.
Okay,
Yeah, all right.
If you wanna.
If you want, that's great.
we'll take it.
Yeah, because we
We'll look at
really
it.
do see many more projects coming forth over the future years that this is gonna pertain to. So I think it'll just help future board
Do you have
members
an
and
example you
everybody.
can cite?
No, I'd rather not.
No, an example bylaw.
Um,
I'll just work with the AI together.
yeah,
Well, I think,
I don't think it's extensive.
I guess if we were to coordinate with
Definitely
anything, we do
regulation.
something like we just did with Union Street.
correct.
Not require the whole first floor, but, or it is required by the first floor.
Yep.
Or a
Well-
percentage of the first floor. Well, the
The
Union
whole
Crossing
fir-
that we
the
just
whole-
passed,
Yep, it would be the whole
that's something
first floor.
similar to start off with, because
Yep.
that's a whole new start right there.
So that would be, as an example, the first floor
Yeah.
should be shaded out or in a light gray, with the second page delineating it, and then the other 2 or 3 floors above will be shown as
Mm-hmm,
what are the spaces being occupied as.
okay.
But I think it'll just help us keep our ducks in a row,
Right.
and I think it'll help the applicants when they come forth, that they know that this is what we're gonna be looking forward to.
Yeah, and it's great that we can do it in, right now, immediately as an action, and then we can let the process unfold as far as the
Right,
bylaw.
right, yeah.
Part of my question on the bylaw too is recognizing that we do have a new town council. And is this an opportunity for us to opine on any other sort of bylaw changes that we may be seeking and do it as a package itself, as opposed to doing in piecemeal fashion?
I'll add the senior village overlay to that.
Will, your thoughts?
I would be concerned about how binding the bylaws versus just our own policies are. Like, I think a bylaw sets a standard that, it's not as challengeable. It goes through the legal process, it's open, there's discussion about it, people know about it, they're aware of it. It's a longer process, but I think people, in the name of like transparency's sake and, citizen input and amendment and stuff like that, I think there's gonna be a little bit of an educational, need for town council to get them on board with any sort of change, so it's a process, but I think it's a good one.
Okay. So-
Is it possible that maybe at one of our future meetings, I know, Chris, you just, shared about this overlay for senior, that maybe we just take that offline, have our own thoughts about what sort of bylaw changes we seek, and then have a conversation as a board on what we might look at? I think it's an opportune time, in particular with the master plan having been adopted. There's a whole host of items that are in there.
It's in the master plan, the senior
And
village
that's in
overlay.
there. I'm in particular interested in making changes to single-family 4 and, what we can do to allow increased development densities within that section, conscious of the challenges that we continue to have in this town on apartment complexes, to have more organic growth in our town. So that's one other area that I'm interested in. I think it'd just be helpful for us as a board to look at those and have a dialogue to see which ones we want to put forward.
Okay. So,
Sounds good.
moving forward, yeah, and then I think as they come through, we can get a taste of some feedback, and then that'll help us establish the bylaw. If, as Jay drafts it, we can tweak it, bring it to another level if need be, back it down a little bit, but we'll have a baseline to start working with.
Well, I guess we could, during the process, make it known to the applicant that whatever waivers you have or any.
Well, that's what
anything,
Amy
you know,
will,
present
is start
that to-
establishing,
Yep,
Yep.
okay.
Right when they come in, right out of the gate,
Okay.
it'll be one of the criteria that we're gonna have to provide the board, just like the retaining wall,
Yeah.
same application.
Very good.
So it's all out in front of everybody, there's nothing here.
Mhm.
Okay,
Sounds good.
Chris?
I have one other thing. The project we approved on Grove Street, the self-storage facility, there's a sign out front that says warehouse available.
Mhm.
Did we approve a self-storage facility or a
You
building
did.
of that size?
We've already had a pre-construction meeting with them. They've already hired the builder.
Yeah,
I believe they just haven't taken the sign down.
okay,
And I think once they start building, that sign will come down.
okay.
So-
But it is the self-storage
It
facility?
is the
Correct.
self-storage,
Okay, yeah.
we have pre-construction, I think soon you'll start seeing all the wattles go up and trees coming down, and that sign should be down too.
Got it, okay, great, thank you.
Good. Yep. And one last thing, I just want to wish everybody Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and safe New Year's.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to see everybody.
Same to you guys.
Happy second night of Hanukkah? Tonight too?
Yeah. So,
It is,
Yeah.
I saw it last night, it was amazing.
Across
All
the
the
street from the
trucks
con, I
coming
love it, it's across the
through.
street, we
Yeah,
sit outside and watch,
you can
it's
see it
awesome.
from your
Oh,
house, yeah.
Hear
It
the
was
music
really
jamming, oh my God.
It was really
So good.
fascinating. They had like 10 trucks because they were going to each town, and
Yep.
it was really fascinating.
Yeah, it's a cool celebration.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, make a motion to adjourn unless somebody else has anything? No?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Recording stopped.
Under an hour, look at that.